Judkins is in. And on first down, Burrow under pressure, down he goes.
It's been a season from hell for the Browns. A carousel of quarterbacks that left dog pounds spinning, and a roster decimated by the kind of luck you only seem to find in Cleveland. But on a cold and windy day against Buffalo, something changed. Yes, they lost. Yes, they paid a heavy price. Myles Garrett is no longer just a star. He's the solitary king of the sack. But one man has shown flashes of brilliance. I'm talking about Shedeur Sanders, the 144th pick of the 2025 draft. But can he resurrect Cleveland and finally do the unthinkable? Let's rewind to April 2025. Shedeur Sanders, the Prince of Colorado, didn't hear his name in the first round, or the second, or even the third. While teams reached for safe picks, Sanders slid all the way to the fifth, pick 144 to be more exact. Why? Anonymous scouts. They called him arrogant, brash, and interviews labeled him concerning. But the Browns didn't care about the noise. They were desperate, mired in a QB apocalypse with an aging Joe Flacco and inconsistent Dylan Gabriel. Then Week 12 happened. The season might have already been over, but for Sanders, the audition was just beginning. He didn't come alone. Enter Quinshon Judkins, the man brought in to fill the massive boots of Nick Chubb. He was the Ohio State sensation, supposedly brought in to be a project, but instead he became the engine. Pair a rookie quarterback with a chip on his shoulder, a rookie running back with fresh legs, and a defensive end chasing immortality. You don't have a tank job, you have a laboratory for 2026. But the raw numbers still look ugly. 29th ranked offense, a defense on the field too long. But if you look closer, you see the building blocks for a miracle resurgence that might rise like a phoenix from the ashes. Now, before I sell you a fantasy, let's get real for a second. Sanders' introduction to the NFL wasn't a fairy tale. Far from it, to be exact. In his first 4 starts, the rookie roller coaster was in full effect. He posted 946 yards, 5 touchdowns, but the 6 interceptions were the rookie tax he had to pay. He held the ball too long. He trusted his arm too much.
3rd and 9, big play. Sanders with time to the sideline. Tough throw for Judy, and Judy has it intercepted. It's picked off by Jalen Johnson.
This is a great play by Jalen Johnson. This is another well-fitted ball in there. Little bit of back shoulder, but Jerry Jeudy is not able to squeeze it in. You can see it drop right there into the hands of Jalen Johnson.
But the flashes, they were blinding. He had that Colorado confidence, the uncanny ability to slide in the pocket.
2 guys in the A-gap.
3rd down and 8. Here comes the pressure. Running away from it is Sanders. He's looking long. He's got a man. Caught at the 10-yard line. Bonds.
When the play breaks down, he doesn't panic. He creates. And this isn't something you teach in the 5th round. It's instinct. But the kid wasn't alone. While he was learning to swim, Judkins was already walking on water. Before that fateful December day against Buffalo, he erupted as a true dual threat back. 827 yards, 7 touchdowns, with 3.6 yards per carry in a sham of an offense. He was echoing the early impact of Chubb, but with a different style. Explosive, violent, and crucial for a rookie QB safety valve. And on the other side of the ball, the Grim Reaper, better known as Myles Garrett. Through week 15, he sits at 22 sacks, just half a sack short of the single-season record. He wasn't just playing DE, he was hunting QBs for sport. They quickly became the perfect trio. But flashes are just sparks until they survive a storm, and in December, the storm arrived. The sparring session was over. It was time for the main event, a brutal 3-game stretch that would either expose Sanders as a pretender or forge him into the future of the franchise. We call it the Gauntlet. Let's zoom in on Week 13, where the hope narrative really started taking shape. The 49ers at home, a brutal assignment for two rookies. Sanders threw for 149 yards. It was gritty, ugly, and a loss, but he didn't break. He took his hits and got back up. Then came the breakout.
Two tight ends are in for Sanders. Well protected, and there's Jerry Jeudy, and he's off and into the end zone. Touchdown, Cleveland.
Week 14 versus the Titans. This was a tough game where the bust label evaporated. 364 yards, 4 touchdowns in a thrilling shootout, but it still ended in a 31-29 loss. But that 60-yard bomb to Jerry Jeudy, that was an NFL throw. That was a franchise QB throw. Then came Week 15, the reality check. It was the moment Sanders' bill came due. 18 of 35 passes complete, 177 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 picks. The final score, a 31-3 blowout. But despite all this, growth isn't linear. It's about how many times you can get hit and keep moving forward, as Rocky Balboa once said. Yet, as hard as they fought, Week 16 would end in heartbreak. All this brings us to Week 16 against the Buffalo Bills, a playoff contender, a former MVP. It was supposed to be a blowout, a day where the Bills finally proved that Cleveland was just lucky, but they didn't. First, the history. Garrett came within half a sack of the record. He now stands at 22 with 2 games left to play, and we're witnessing the greatest defensive season in the modern NFL. Sanders threw for 157 yards and a touchdown, while rushing for 49 yards on just 4 carries. It doesn't sound like much, but MVP Josh only managed 130 yards for 0 touchdowns. He outplayed a superstar in the freezing cold. Sanders brought them within a field goal. While he didn't win, he won the respect of the locker room. But it's on this day that the football gods demanded a sacrifice.
Back into the end zone. 3 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown on that first drive.
Quinshawn Judkins, the spark, the sensation, went down. A fractured fibula and dislocated ankle. His rookie season was over. A cruel twist for a kid who was running his way to Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation. But even a historic record and a season-ending injury couldn't stop the circus. Because with Shedeur Sanders, football is never just football. It's a reality show. And despite the grit he showed in Buffalo, the critics weren't looking at the stats. They were looking for the drama. Of course, we can't talk about Sanders without talking about the circus. I'm talking about the media.
Finally took Shedeur Sanders. Does the president think he deserves credit for Sanders getting picked? And does he think going to the Browns is better than being undrafted?
Hey, all I will say is the president put out a statement, and a few rounds later he was drafted. So I think the facts speak for themselves on that one, Peter.
I mean, when you touch the radar of the White House press secretary, you're doing something right. Even Dion couldn't leave the offensive coordinator alone. The kid is generating more media heat than Colin Kaepernick at his prime, and the league doesn't really know what to do. Vets call it childish. Scouts call it confidence. But inside the building, the drama is noise. Garrett's quiet dominance, 22 sacks and counting, sets the culture. And before the injury, Judkins' humble work ethic balanced Sanders' flash. The reality is the arrogance is just armor. Sanders is taking the hits, making the throws, and turning the page just like Kevin Stefanski asked. And yes, 2025 is done. The Browns are out. The stats show another failed season. But behind it all is a blueprint. Perhaps the new Prescott Elliott of football. And 2026 might be something no one will expect. At this record, the playoffs are a fever dream, but for the first time in years, the vision is real. Think about 2026. Imagine a mature Sanders with an offseason to study the tape of those interceptions, a healed Judkins, hungry to reclaim lost time, and Myles Garrett, the sack king, anchoring a defense that knows it has a QB who can actually score. Are you willing to bet against them? Now, 2025 was the sacrifice. It's the teething process. But that game against the Bills, even though they lost, even though Judkins was carted off, it changed everything. It showed Cleveland can go toe-to-toe with an actual contender. The Browns aren't dead, they're just gestating. And somewhere in Cleveland, a miracle is brewing. Can they be the next Broncos? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure to check out the next video to see how Denver's becoming the next New Orleans. See you in the next one.